Hey, 90 Day fans! Welcome to my channel and thank you for clicking this video. So, today we're going to talk about the relationship between Danielle and Yohan. And we all know that it's been a complete roller coaster from the very beginning, and it looks like it's gotten a lot more intense. So, let's dive in. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates. Now, let's get started. So, in the most recent episode, we end up finding out that Johan has been cheating on Danielle the entire time that they've been together. So, this mistress basically ends up contacting Danielle over social media and is like, "Well, I just want to confirm with you that, like, you're getting a divorce with him, right? Like, you're leaving him, right? So that, like, I can pay for his divorce and you could basically leave and go back to America and I could basically take your place." And I mean, fine, they could have each other, but like that lady didn't have to go and do all that just to basically prove a point that that woman was literally laid up in their apartment while she was on that spiritual retreat. And then not only that, I think a lot of people tend to forget that at the fact that he was stealing money from her account. This man was stealing money from her account were when she was gone. When that lady, that mistress, was laid up in the apartment, he was stealing money from Danielle's account. Like, and then Johan was like, "There was no food in the house. I needed to get groceries." Like, come on, you mean to tell me that you spent $160 on groceries that are nowhere to be found? And yet that's within the same timeline that the mistress was laid up in the house doing it up with you while Danielle was on the spiritual retreat? Come on now, be for real. The next thing I also wanted to bring up was the fact that Johan wanted her to buy a property in the Dominican Republic. He basically made her feel bad because she was like, "Oh, I would rather rent here for now instead of buy a property. It just doesn't seem logical to do that at this time." And good for her because imagine if she had bought a property and they were going to end up getting a divorce. It's not like she could take the home all the way back to New York or wherever she was coming from. I mean, like, the house would have stayed in the DR and he probably would have just stayed there with the mistress or whoever he was having sex with. Like, good for her for not giving in to buying a property in the Dominican Republic. And then not only that, buying a car for this man. Because in one of the episodes in this most recent season, he was basically like, "Oh, well, I need a car. One of my friends was given a car and they're dating." Like, do you remember that episode when he was basically with his friend at the gym and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I got a friend that is dating a woman, an American woman, and he got a car and a house." And it's like, dude, like, what kind of people are you hanging out with where the type of guys that you hang out with only use women for money? Like, is that just what you do? Like, you just plot and scheme against women so that you could level up in life? Like, instead of actually getting a real job and making something out of yourself, you're just gonna go and like plot and scheme and just keep using women and talking to like six women at a time just for money because you're just lazy and you don't think that you can make enough money in the Dominican Republic? Why don't you go and do something online? Hello? Like, there's so many possibilities now with making money. Like, this man couldn't just at least maybe continue the business that he had going on. Like, I know Danielle didn't like the idea of the whole meat business, but like, figure out another business. Like, stop using people for money and get to work and start doing stuff. Like, stuff is not just going to be handed to you because you're just this tall, good looking man. Like, come on. Stop using women and get a real job, Johan. Another disgusting thing that Johan is responsible for is basically telling Danielle that he doesn't want to be in a relationship with her right before they're about to go and hand Christmas gifts to kids that are in need. Like, out of all the times to go and tell that woman that you don't love her and that you're sick and tired of her, that's when you choose to do it. That's when you choose to tell her, hey, I don't want to pay the bills anymore. I'm sick and tired of you. I want to leave this relationship. Like, you do it right before you're supposed to do something special for children. And then not only that, we find out that Danielle literally looked through his laptop or his computer and was like, oh yeah, he was sending dingling pics during that time too. Like, what was the whole point? What was the point of doing all of that during the holiday season and giving kids all of these gifts if you're just gonna be gross and a disgusting human? Like, you literally did that when you went to the bathroom, you showed a picture of your dingling? Like, I'm just confused. Like, when did he have the time for that? And now that they have finally came to the conclusion that they no longer want to be with one another, Johan is going back to his parents' house like a nice little titty baby, like Kimberly says. And Miss Danielle is going back to New York, which is fabulous for her because she definitely doesn't need to be in the Dominican Republic with a man that doesn't even want to pay 50-50 for a apartment that he literally lives in, he makes a mess in, he eats in, and he sleeps in. And then not only that, brings a mistress in. Like, he can't even pay 50-50 for that. And then not only that, he wants to take money from Danielle out of her account, $160. He didn't want to do at least the bare minimum. Come on now. Thank God and good riddance that man has left her life. That was the best thing that could have possibly happened to that woman. And I'm very happy that she finally is just packing up her stuff and hopefully never looking back, because all of us, even her friends, were very skeptical about the relationship because that man, being a very well built, able bodied man, was not willing to work and contribute to the house, was no good. Everyone knew that he was no good. He wanted a provider, he wanted a Barbara the Builder. He wanted a woman to help build him up and level him up so that he could do better in life. Because he knew that the life he had in the Dominican Republic wasn't a life worth living. That's why he wanted to leave so bad. And that's why he's talking to so many girls all at once. That's why, even with that mistress, he's still talking to other women that are sending him money instead of going to work and actually being a real man and contributing to people's lives and his own wife that he literally made a commitment to. Like, come on. However, I will say that Danielle has played a very big role in this relationship because at the end of the day, I remember her doing a whole spell just to keep that man faithful. And you could do all the spells in the world, but at the end of the day, that man wasn't about love, nurturing. He didn't want a wife. He didn't want any of that. That man was about a goal. And the goal was to get as much money as he possibly can from women. It didn't matter if he loved her or not. He needed papers. He needed that green card. That's why when they were talking with one another, he was like, well, you don't want me to go to the US. And I mean, like, I'm not going to contribute to this relationship if I'm not going to get anything out of it. So Danielle definitely had a very big role in this relationship. And I think she let this relationship go on for way too long because there were tons of warning signs right in her face for many years, for many months, for many weeks, days. And I do feel bad for her because towards the very end of the episode, she was like, we had a very beautiful life, but it was basically a lie in the end. And in my head, I'm just thinking, was it a beautiful life? Because from what I saw, it just looked like a whole bunch of arguing and him basically telling her that she needed to buy him stuff. And like, I'm pretty sure that she was okay with it because it was so cheap to buy things in the Dominican Republic. And because she was making a salary from New York, I mean, the money was a little bit greater than what he could ever make, but that's all he wanted. That's all he ever wanted. All he ever wanted was material things. He wanted assets. That's why he got upset with her because he said, why are we renting? Buy a house. Buy me assets. I need stuff. So this man clearly knows how to play the game. I think she kind of saw it, but she didn't want to see it because she thought through manifestation and doing spells were going to kind of break that. But at the end of the day, he has free will. He's going to do whatever he wants. And the motive at the end of the day was for him to acquire as many assets as he possibly can. And it didn't matter if it was going to be through Danielle or through 8 different women, it just didn't matter. Thank you so much for watching my video. And let me know down in the comments, are you surprised that Yohan cheated on Danielle their entire marriage? I hope you have a great day. Bye.